everybody, John at IPT. Today we're going to be doing a removal and replacement of a Mitsubishi valve body. Pretty straightforward, but a lot of people get it wrong, so we're going to show you what to watch out for and what not to do. Alright, what we got to do first is get this plug disconnected from under the hood. It usually lives somewhere under the battery. So you're first going to disconnect this in the car, and what you got to do is this wiring harness has kind of two tabs on it. You're going to want to depress these two tabs simultaneously and push that connector through into the trans. Alright. Obviously taking the pan off, that's pretty easy stuff. Now, get this down here. Take our filter off. Okay, and we have a bunch of 10mm bolts. We're going to take all of them out, except for this. You'll see this one looks a little bit different than the rest of them, and that's actually not a bolt, that's a pressure tap. Alright, so we're going to leave that guy in there. Two of these bolts hold this temperature sensor. Yours might look a little different than this one. We changed them a couple times over the years. We're basically just going to take all this stuff off and get it out of the way, the temperature sensor. And usually we want to just pry it up a little bit. It shouldn't take much. So we pry this up and we snake our wiring harness through, and that's it. It's out. Now, when we're putting this back in, there's a couple things we need to worry about. Alright? There's a manual valve, and that's got to engage in a specific spot in the trans. And there's a little seal that sits on top of the valve body. Now, this thing could fall out or get lost on you. Sometimes it gets stuck up in the trans. You got to make sure you have this back on the valve body, or you will have no reverse when you put this back together. So you don't want to do that. Okay, putting this back in is just the reverse. Also, this tube, make sure that's in your valve body, because that could stick up in the trans too. And if that tube gets misplaced, you're going to have no fourth gear. So make sure that's there. Now you're going to notice on this manual valve, it's kind of got a notch in it. This is real important. A lot of people break the manual valve putting this valve body back in because they don't have it indexed correctly. So what that's supposed to look like, we'll try and zoom in a bit here. First you're going to stick your wiring harness through. Okay. And I like to put it like this and ease it down. That tube I was talking about has to engage in its slot, and there's a protrusion here. Alright, that's your shift linkage, and that has to engage into the manual valve. And when that's all correct, you'll feel it's loose in there. Alright, before you put any bolts in or anything like that. So we'll just push this wiring harness the rest of the way through. And another thing, sometimes these tabs get broken or whatever. If that happens, you can put a little silicone around here, clean it up real well, and put some silicone on the tab and push it through, and that'll hold it if the stuff is broken in there. Now putting it back together, there's 3 different length bolts, okay? There's one long one, there's a short one over here, and the rest of them are all the same. Okay, I don't have it in this picture, but sometimes there's a bracket holding these wires, so make sure those go in. Your temperature sensor, you're going to stick back through this bracket, and that bolts through like so. Okay, and just make sure everything's not pushed up or anything like that, everything's flush, and that your manual valve is still loose. And just kind of take the bolts home lightly. right tool for the job is a torque wrench. Okay, once you have those down, you want to torque these all to 80 inch-pounds. Alright. Put your filter back on and the pan, and that's it. That's all there is to it.